Hi there everyone, it's Melissa and I'm back. I'm starting this video by showing you a layout that inspired me by Raquel Bowman for Hip Kit Club. I love the frames and the big picture and the orientation. So I'm going to start off by pulling from my product jar and getting ready to see what I'm going to use here. The Cameo is the first, stencils, 6x6 pads, doilies, enamel dots, stickers, and punches. So that out of the way, I've already went ahead and gessoed. Oh, here I am showing you this thing again, how I like the orientation. I obviously don't have those frames, so I'm going to do my best to duplicate. So I went ahead and clear gessoed this piece of Michael's very flimsy pattern paper, but that's okay. And this picture is a 5x7 of me and my husband from our anniversary. And I love how it's natural and organic. So I pulled from SEI the Vanilla Sunshine and this pattern paper because it was, not too lovey-dovey, but also at the same time, you know, kind of giving me the vibes that I wanted to give. So, and I loved the colors in there. So I went ahead and cut the frames with my Cameo, and I'm gonna do a little mixed media on the background here. I used the peacock feathers and abandoned coral on the background. So here I'm just going to be, these are my oxide inks. I'm going to be doing the smushing technique with just some water and some packaging. And I'm going to do a vertical orientation going down the center of the page. And I like this because it's visually pleasing to me. And so after that dries, I'm going to add some Heidi Swap Gold Color Shine and just sprinkle it in the same direction. And I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to do some stenciling. And like I mentioned, I pull out the abandoned coral. Oh, so first I cut my title with my Cameo, the word blessed, and I'm going to add some Hickory Smoke Oxide ink. And I'm just going to give this title a little bit of shading and dimension, just with my sponge and some of that ink. And then I'm also going to give the frames that I cut with the Cameo, they're 3x4 size. I'm going to give those some shade and dimension as well. And I went ahead and went on the inside and outside with my sponge blender and got them all shaded, and I love the way they turned out. So here I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to rest my title. According to the sketch, there's a tag there with a heart, which I liked. Although the red in that tag and the manila feel I wasn't liking. So I pulled a different tag from my stash, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to craft my own. So yeah, I pulled out the abandoned coral ink that I mentioned I used. Actually I pulled the abandoned coral and the peacock feathers because I thought it matched the collection, the colors perfectly. So here I'm just looking for either whether I'm going to cut a heart or I'm using stencils. I haven't quite decided that I'm going to use the ink yet and trace my own, but I'm going to figure that out here pretty quickly as I pull a heart from my stash from some chipboard. And I'm going to go ahead and just quick draw that in with a pencil. And then as you'll see, I decide that I like this, and then I'm going to go ahead and get my water pen out and fill in that traced area. Sorry, I was distracted. Fill in that traced area. And in the end, I'm super pleased with this because once the ink dries, I went ahead and just erased the pencil lines. But, I mean, this is super easy. I mean, if I can do this kind of stuff, anybody can. And I just literally traced it with my pencil. So this picture was taken in my backyard, and I just love it. 17 years on the 11th, so it's crazy how fast time flies. And yeah, I also want to mention this is my first process video, so be kind to me. Alright, so the other thing I want to use is a stencil. So I went ahead and pulled the stencils from Stampin' Up, and this is just a random polka dot, and I'm going to use the abandoned coral, and just another way for me to add some texture and dimension. and stencils were in my product jar. So I thought, you know, I love that I pulled it, so that means I've kind of got to use it. So yeah, I just randomly put them down. I keep checking with my picture to see if I need more or where I want more, and I'm pleased with that. So yeah, I'm letting actually the tag dry that I did the heart on and just cleaning up my stencil here at the moment. So yeah, now you see I'm just trying to find some pattern papers. I've got a 6x6 pad pulled with lots of scraps there. I'm trying to figure out the orientation of my frames, just putting them wonky, you know, all different directions. I'm going to start gluing them down with some Tombow Mono multi-adhesive, and seriously, they're just random. I'm just trying to follow the linear feel that I got from the sketch. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. I'm not going to make you watch me do all that. And this here, I'm back and I've just pulled some elements from my stash, just trying to figure out what I like. Pattern papers, 6x6 pads, those were another product pull. Just using scraps, you guys, you can see that pink, that's all that was left. So I went ahead and just glued it down. The doilies, I just cut that doily in half. Here again, I like cutting my pattern papers on a diagonal. I don't know why, I just do, so I just keep doing it. I've already added a gold paper clip with which eventually I'm going to put something behind that, but for right now I'm just layering up my doilies. I like to add two on top of each other for texture, so I just cut it in half. Random pattern paper from my stash. You can see I just pulled one 6x6 pad that I've just been plugging away, making my way through. And I end up cutting this down, but then tearing the edge for texture and roughing it up quite a bit with my fingernails. So I like doing that a lot. And I'm just gonna go right there. It's where it's gonna end up staying, and just ruffling everything up. And that you and me tag, that's actually gonna stay there. That's not a tag, sorry, piece of ephemera. That's from either Chic Tags or Ellie Studio. I'm gonna go ahead and hear my picture down now because my frames have dried and my background is dried. And so the tag is dried as well. Sorry about my head there. And so yeah, I'm just gonna start putting my bits in. This is where everything goes really fast. When you have your background done and you know you're loving it, you're feeling it, usually this is when my mojo is in fast forward. I just start, you know, chucking stuff down. This is all stash stuff for me. So I knew I wanted to bring those cork hearts in because cork is a very natural, organic element for me. So those hearts were perfect. I mentioned before I didn't want to go lovey-dovey, but hearts on an anniversary page, excuse me, not that over the top for me. So yeah, I'm just looking at other things that I hope to possibly add. You see I pulled an epoxy bubble here from my stash and put it on top of that Heidi Swap. That's an old piece of printable ephemera. I'm going to add some craft paper with my punches and make some reinforcers for those tags. I went ahead and cut a second tag just from scraps of paper in my stash. It's turquoise. I kind of like how, you know, other YouTubers that I watch, they follow, you know, the visual triangles. So I knew I had the turquoise in the top, the turquoise on the left, and now I'm bringing it down on the right. Just going to adhere that tag down because essentially I like where it's at, how it's going to rest on the title. Just adding some foam tape behind there because I like having that little top part popped up, especially knowing that I'm going to feed in some crochet twine and tie some bows into those later. Yeah, I'm just playing around with bits. You can see those are all just scraps. Just trying to think of stickers and things that I'm going to use and other elements that I've just been pulling from my stash. And yeah, you can see that chipboard on the bottom there. That gray piece of paper is from an old Allie Edwards. That's from the kit that I won, that AM PM. And that actually says, you are my sun, my moon, and all of my stars. And I thought that was perfect for this page. The top piece of Heidi Swapp flare that I have up there is actually just says love. Might be hard to see on camera here. And yeah, there's just other bits that I just like tucking, and I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but that's how fast these come together for me. So I have the epoxy bubble on the top of this flare, so actually I'm just going to cut off the edges, and then I'll adhere that down with a glue dot. Well, first I'm going to adhere this paper. I cut this down to 11.5 by 11.5, and I pulled a piece of kind of gray blue from my stash. It's an old Stampin' Up! Blue, and it read like the same blue almost to a T for the graph paper that I have. I have some Tim Holtz stickers. It's Chit Chat. Essentially my title is going to be We Are Blessed, and I'm going to just put those words right on that heart that I put on that tag, and I like that. I'm really liking this page quite a bit. At the top of that, you can see on the top of the screen, those are actually some clear stickers that I got from Stampin' Up! And they're gold. I mean, L-O-V-E, right? So I'm actually going to cut a couple of those off of that sheet and find a home for them on my page. And so here you just see me cutting some of, like, it's not flourish, but it's like, you know, piece of greenery, and those are just some gold kind of arrows. And I'm just gonna tuck these in here just because I want some gold in all three spots. So at the top right I have gold, at the bottom left I have gold, and then I'm gonna add some gold with another piece of flare that I will make on the bottom right. So here I'm just sprinkling some enamel dots here and there just to try to mimic obviously the colors that I have. I'm gluing down this chipboard because even though it's sticky, with gesso, stuff needs a little extra stick. So I just put that punch on there to weight it down. I'm looking for some gold cardstock because I want to use 17 somewhere in this layout because this is our 17th anniversary. So I went ahead with the bottle cap alphas or numbers from MFT, and I cut 17 and put it on a piece of pink paper and used another epoxy bubble. That one actually is a 3/4 of an inch. The one on top is a 1 inch. I just adhered it with some foam tape or a Stampin' Dimensional, and then I'm adding another cork heart, putting in a Stampin' Up! Brad from my stash, and I'm really liking this so far. So the next step would be for me to start, I'm going to put the title down, and then I'm going to need to start picking stamps because you guys know I put some sort of stamped element on everything I create. So I'm going to start auditioning some stamps. I've already went ahead and tied my crochet knots on the top of both of those tags. And I want to add something tuck something into that gold paper clip. And so from Felicity Jane, that stamp set is called Felicity. And I went ahead and used white embossing powder on some vellum, cut it out with an oval from Stampin' Up! And then what you'll see is I'm just going to cut it down and tuck it into right underneath that paper clip. And I really like that. I'm trying to think of if I want to cut it down, and essentially I end up cutting it down quite a bit and putting it there. And that's where it will live. And I'll just, sorry again about my head, I'll just again use some glue and get that into place. The other stamp that I'm going to use is from Mama Elephant, and it's called Labeled Messages. And well, here's me using my Heidi Swapp date stamp, and I'm just going to pull out some Altenew. I'm just scrolling through that's how I got that idea, and that's how I keep all my roller stamps. I'm going to use some Altenew Gray, and I'm going to stamp that underneath that chipboard embellishment on the bottom there. And then here's me using some pumpkin pie ink from Stampin' Up! And that labeled message that says Happy Anniversary. I'm going to cut it down, and I'm going to adhere it very close to the chipboard on the bottom there. So I've got my 17, I've got the date and happy anniversary. So that's about it, guys. If you like this video, I would love a thumbs up. There's going to be some close-ups at the end here. I will put my link to my Facebook page and Instagram for my other social media places, and I would love for you to come follow me there. And yeah, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.